What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Carson Wagner Show. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene torching her political career in real time. Okay, this is crazy. I literally cannot believe we're watching this happen. It's been absolutely insane. It's been going on for like a week and a half. Her and Trump have been feuding. There's been a big fight. The conservative movement is fracturing over it right now. The MAGA movement is fracturing. This is huge. Okay, so we're gonna break down what's actually going on. We're gonna talk about why Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing this, why Trump is opposing her, who the people are on each side, some calling for Marjorie Taylor Greene to get out of the picture, some calling for Trump to get out of the picture and let Marjorie do her thing. And a lot of crazy stuff is going on. As usual, the Democrats are eating all this up. They love it when there's tons of infighting in the conservative movement. While they remain somewhat unified, not quite, because there's still a lot of calls for Chuck Schumer to resign after the horrific shutdown that he did. That was literally just a political game the entire time. But anyways, that's a different thing. If you want to hear about that shutdown, you can listen to my previous episodes on the shutdown. Right now, we are talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump, the feud, what the heck is going on, and we're going to be talking about a lot more today. So if you're interested, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening on a podcast player or on Substack, you can give me a 5-star rating. You can go to the carsonwagnershow.substack.com and subscribe to get an email every time I release a new episode. I release new episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays. I put shorts on YouTube every single day. If you haven't already, you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@CarsonLWagner. You can subscribe there. You'll get notified every time a new episode drops, every time a new short drops. And also, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, episode suggestions, critiques, anything like that, you can send them to the carsonwagnershow@gmail.com, or you can comment down below. I will see them and I will do my best to respond to them. So let's get into it. All right, folks. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has been criticizing the president all over social media. She got on CNN, she got on The View, and she was lighting up the Republican Party for like no reason whatsoever. So this all began when she called Trump's foreign policy, not America first. And this was something that actually, I think, came directly from the whole Epstein files thing that's been really boiling for a very long time. And it's finally boiled over, as we've seen in recent weeks, because the White House, the executive branch, Trump and his administration have not really wanted to get the Epstein files released for a decent amount of time. House Republicans, a lot of House Republicans, not all of them, but a lot of House Republicans opposed him. They did not feel the same way. They wanted the files released. Their constituents wanted the files released. And they were actually siding with a lot of Democrats on this. Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene are great examples of people in Congress on Capitol Hill who wanted the Epstein files released, and they were opposing Trump on it. Trump did not want them released. As a quick side note, I'm not going to make any judgment either way on whether what his motive was for doing that. I'll admit that it looks suspicious that he didn't want them released, but at the same time, I don't believe you can accuse somebody of a crime that big and that evil without serious, solid proof, and I don't think we have that at this point. There's a lot of hoaxes going around. There's a lot of crazy stuff that I've seen that's like, okay, that's probably not legit, and it's hard to determine what's legit and what's not. And the House of Representatives just ordered the Justice Department to release the full Epstein files just days ago, so we are going to get some stuff. I have a feeling we're not going to get more than they actually want us to see, because that's the way it always works, even with a good administration like this one. But the point is, I don't think it's fair yet to make any judgment on Trump, whether or not his name is in the Epstein files and what his motive was for not wanting them to get released. There could be many other motives for not wanting those files to get released. So I wouldn't make a judgment on that yet. My point in saying it, my point in bringing it up is just to say that the Epstein files thing has been simmering. It's been boiling for a long time in the Republican Party and in the MAGA movement and the conservative movement. It was a huge pillar of of Trump's campaign. Like, if Trump ran, he was going to release the Epstein files. And then, of course, he didn't. And there was just a huge explosion. Conservatives all around the country criticizing him. Some were saying there are no Epstein files, and he was right. But the majority, I think, were saying, no, there are Epstein files, and they need to get released, and we need to see them. Obviously, if those files do exist, the public does need to see them. But Trump was not willing to do that. He did not want to do that. A lot of House Republicans wanted to do it. So things were escalating. Things were really, really tense. And then just recently, it started heating back up again. And now Marjorie Taylor Greene just exploded out of nowhere. She snapped, and she had apparently had enough. And she started attacking his foreign policy, calling it not America first. And she went on CNN and said this. Check this out.
But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country.
Right there. Right there is when she gave up the game. Okay, she surrendered the ship. It's over. It's over. Right there. There are no toxic politics. I'll tell you who the toxic politicians are. The toxic politicians are the people who encouraged Charlie Kirk's death and who celebrated it once Charlie Kirk was dead. Those are the toxic politicians. She is not a toxic politician. She has never been a toxic politician, okay? She may be crazy. She may have said some crazy stuff like Jewish space lasers, that kind of thing, which is something that we'll get to later on in the episode or in another episode to be determined. But she's not a toxic politician. She's on the right, and for the most part, she's completely sane. The toxic politicians are the people who think they literally have the right to celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk after he's gotten his throat blown out in front of hundreds of people. And they get all over social media and just rejoice, and they're so happy and they're so exuberant about the fact that their enemy died. That's the definition of toxicity. Those are toxic politicians. And even deeper than that, as Charlie would say, we need to reject the definition. We need to reject the word toxic altogether, because facts, so as Ben Shapiro loves to say, facts don't care about your feelings. Okay? Toxicity is not like, it's not some great evil in the world. There are tons of crazy people out there, tons of people who say crazy things, and people need to get over it. People need to get over it. They genuinely need to just get over it. It doesn't matter what some random person on Capitol Hill says. If they're trying to like physically attack you, that's great. That's great. There's no, defend yourself. But for people to be offended by all these toxic politicians and act like it's something that needs to be apologized for, it doesn't need to be apologized for. So first off, it's not toxic. Second off, it's not even something that's like real. It's a fake thing. It's just like hate speech that's been made up by the left. And then the left takes it and uses it to try to cancel anyone they don't like or just manipulate their enemies. Okay, so she needs to stop. She needs to stop while she's ahead, but she didn't stop while she's ahead. And she just gave it up. She gave up the game. The boat is turned over in the water and it's on fire. She is no longer someone who's trustworthy. She just surrendered, and she's on CNN first off with Dana Bash, who's a horrible liberal. So she has literally just given up the game. She's stopped fighting, and this was a big mistake. This was a really, really big mistake.
It's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another.
And she has the gall to mention Charlie Kirk. The leftists and their toxicity and their hate, if I'm going to use their terms for a second, I'm happy to use their terms. Their toxicity and their hate led to Charlie Kirk's murder. And then she has the gall to act like she's on the right side about that. This is really, really bad. This is really, really bad. This is a Republican congresswoman in real time betraying the country, selling out to the other side, selling out to the left, selling out to people who hate our country so much they scream death to America in the streets and burn the American flag. What more needs to be said?
And we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
So in a different day and age, yes. In a different day and age, we would have been able to respect each other with our disagreements. But when we are invaded by enemies who hate our country, there is no longer any room for respect. It is a fight for survival. It is a fight for the soul of our republic and the soul of our nation. And it starts with not giving up the ship and not literally just surrendering and just laying down arms like Marjorie Taylor Greene just did. So, of course, she does all of this. She goes on CNN, she goes on MSNBC, and she even goes on The View, which you don't know what The View is. It's a very left, very far left talk show with a bunch of old ladies who criticize Trump all the time and call him bad names to talk about how mean he is, essentially. She went on The View, she went on CNN, she went on MSNBC, and she's going on this whole like leftist media tour, like it's her new career apparently. Like she has abandoned the conservative side of the aisle. That's literally what it looks like, and she's just turning on Trump. Now she does all this, and then she again has the gall to proceed to react very strongly when Trump withdraws his endorsement from her. I have to say, I literally do not understand that. Trump, of course he was going to withdraw his endorsement. I don't know what she expected. I don't know what kind of world she's living in. Of course Trump was going to withdraw his endorsement. She's criticizing him all over leftist media. She's calling him all sorts of names. And he's supposed to just sit down and take that. Whatever it is, he pulled his endorsement. He said he would endorse anyone. Said on Truth Social he would endorse anyone who ran against her. He calls her Wacky Marjorie now, his newest nickname, and a ranting lunatic. Again, she claims this is all about the Epstein files. It's not just about the Epstein files. A ton of this is a power play. This woman has built her entire career on being Trump's number one defender. And this is the takeaway. If you don't take anything else away from this episode, this is what I want you to take away. This woman has built her entire brand on being Trump's number one defender in Congress. A super, 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 super hard conservative, not giving an inch. And now she's talking like this. Now she's going on CNN and MSNBC and The View, talking like this, trying to be the face of MAGA 2.0 without Trump. She is going to ruin her political career. This is a horrific move, okay? I don't know what on earth made her do this, but she is going to ruin her political career. Now, as one commentator pointed out, that this is essentially a serious power play, because they want to get a MAGA without Trump. They don't like Trump anymore. They think he's too influenced by Israel. They think his foreign policy is not great. They think how he's handled the Epstein files is not great. So they want to redo MAGA minus Trump. That's not going to work. MAGA exists because of Trump. Trump is an extremely dynamic, extremely good leader, extremely charismatic, and he is holding a ton of different people together with very different viewpoints and very different ideas, all under this general heading of the MAGA movement. And people are sticking together and people are united. And whether, this nowhere could be more emphasized than where you have the Amish, who are apparently now MAGA, which is crazy because the Amish voted in the 2024 election. A ton of the Amish in Virginia and Pennsylvania and other places, they voted. So you got the Amish, and then you have the gay dude who went and did all the door to door and got the Amish to vote. That's crazy. The Amish would never accept that guy in normal society. He would be totally anathema, totally kicked out. He would be totally not. That would not be acceptable. That would not be acceptable. But now it is all of a sudden, because we've got this heading of MAGA and we're all uniting around a common cause to save the country. And that's good. That's a very good thing. And Trump is able to hold that together because he's a very flexible, a very dynamic leader. He's very good at what he does. He's been holding businesses together for a very long time that have tons of people with different viewpoints and different ideas about how the world should run. I'm not a fan of Trump personally. I don't like him. I don't think he's essentially all that great of a person. Okay. And he has a questionable background. He's a New York elite. He's not someone if all we did was vote for based on personality and based on who you were as a person, I wouldn't vote for Trump. I mean, I would if there was no other option and everybody else was worse, but I wouldn't vote for Trump. But I'm obviously I'm not young. I'm not old enough to vote, but if I was old enough to vote, and this is the reason my family has voted for Trump, is because of his policies. His policies are very good for the nation, and he keeps his promises, and he does good. He may be not that great of a person, but he does good, and he keeps his promises, and he is 100 billion times better than the alternative, which would be Biden or Kamala Harris or whoever else wants to run for president. So he's uniting all these different people. He's uniting Christians. He's uniting Jews. He's uniting conservative Muslims. And he's uniting even some of the LGBTQ crowd. He's uniting some of them. He's bringing them into the movement. And then he's bringing the Amish in, who the Amish never vote. So he's uniting all these radically different groups who would normally be at each other's throats. He's uniting them all under the same heading of MAGA. And the sole reason that that is happening is because Trump is such a dynamic and such a good leader. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a dynamic leader. She does not have what it takes. Not for a second. Her, Thomas Massey, Steve Bannon, they're trying to be the new face of MAGA. MAGA 2.0 minus Trump. It's not going to work. Okay, but that's kind of what's going on here. It's a power play. They kind of see Trump as not being in control anymore. They think he's kind of like a lame duck president. And so they're going to try to step in. They're going to try to take control. And this is the beginning of that. She is complaining about a lot of things. She's complaining about his Iran policy with the bombing. She's complaining about his support for Israel, his spending, his healthcare, his grocery prices, basically everything. And look, I get having policy disagreements. I have many policy disagreements with Trump. That's fine. That's healthy even. But there's a way to do it, and this is not the way to do it. So the Iran policy, I completely oppose her on that. I 100% think bombing Iran was a good idea. And you know what? Trump was proven right. Everyone said this is going to start World War III. Do not do it. He did it. It didn't start World War III. And it quite possibly saved all of our lives because it set Iran's nuclear program back decades. Okay, so the Iran move was fantastic. Israel support. This is like the hottest question in the conservative movement right now, and I don't even get it. Like, people are so obsessed over Israel. To me, I look at Israel and I go, it's just another country, guys. It doesn't matter that much. If you're that obsessed about Israel, well, you need to chill out. You need to step back from the microphone, get a cup of coffee. I don't know. Watch a show or something and come back in an hour. And then we can talk about Israel again once you've cooled down. That's the feeling I get with everybody that I talk about Israel with and everybody that I see talking about Israel. They're obsessed with this idea that Israel is behind everything. They're behind Charlie Kirk's death. They're behind the American government. They're behind AIPAC. And they're running everything. They're trying to take everyone over. And, there's this really big country. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of it. It's called China. And it's a way, way bigger threat than Israel. There's also this other country called Iran who hates us and almost got nuclear capabilities. If they got nuclear capabilities, I'd give you probably about a 90% probability that they would destroy us. Give it a month, give it 6 months, we'd be done. There's also this really big country called Russia. They're a huge, huge security threat. They're bordering Europe. They're continually making all sorts of airspace violations into protected NATO airspace. But no, we're all worried about Israel here. That's crazy. That's legitimately crazy. We need to be worried about China. We need to be worried about Russia. We need to be worried about Iran. We do not need to be worried about Israel. But people are freaking out about Israel on the sort of neo-right side of the movement with Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Brett Cooper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Spending. I don't like Trump spending. I'm not a fan of Trump spending. Okay? I'm not a fan of Trump spending. I think he spends a lot. I think he's not really a conservative. I think he's still got a lot of liberal left in him because he always used to be a Democrat. So I'm not a fan of the spending. I don't think it's great. But you know what? I'm willing to put up with the spending because he's a fantastic president in a ton of other ways. Healthcare. His positions on healthcare are amazing. He's got it down solid. Marjorie Taylor Greene disagrees. Grocery prices. Listen, the Biden administration left us in a horrible rut, and now we have to dig ourselves out of it. And in the meantime, stuff is going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. We just have to wait. Trump is going to fix stuff. His administration is already doing a fantastic job. We're already seeing lots of prices go down around the country, but it's going to take time. And in the meantime, we need to just trust that he knows what he's doing, and he's already fixing stuff. Just look at the numbers. He's already fixing stuff. Okay? And she's disagreeing with him on like basically everything else. So that's her specific disagreements with the president. And I know I already said this, but just to be clear again, policy disagreements are not a bad thing. They're a very good thing. They help us hone our understanding of what's going on. They help us make better policies. And I think they're a very good thing. And there need to be continually people challenging policymakers and saying, okay, this is not good and this is good. And here's what you need to do better. And here's what you did great. Keep doing this. This is how we get better at our jobs. This is how we get better at policymaking, better at foreign policy, better at domestic policy, better at economics, better at political theory in general. We have a bunch of people criticizing us all at once, and constructively criticizing us, not destructively criticizing us. So this is a good thing in theory, but the way she's going about it is not good. She's just attacking Trump like an enemy. She's not doing constructive criticism. There are Republicans in Congress who are doing constructive criticism. I've seen Mike Johnson do this very, very well. He does constructive criticism of other Republican members of Congress and of President Trump. He does it fantastically. And the idea that you would just immediately turn on someone on your side just because of some policy disagreements that are honestly kind of minor. They're not huge policy disagreements. They're very minor ones compared to what the other side of the aisle is doing. And when you have enemies that are so much bigger, the people on the other side of the aisle are so much bigger. Your real enemy is not on your side of the aisle. Your real enemy is on the left. It's the Democrats in Congress. It's the Democrats in the administration. Not that there are many Democrats in the administration, but they are there. And it's these federal judges and these cities that are just stopping everything Trump is doing. Those are your enemies. Those are the people you need to go after. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, all these people that are dissenters, just over the Israel thing, over Trump's foreign policy, and over his spending and whatnot. They need to come back. They need to recognize we have bigger enemies. We have bigger things to deal with, and we cannot afford right now to start fighting about just everything. Okay? So that's more or less a snapshot of what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene and what she actually thinks. I do want to mention something else. Marjorie Taylor Greene said something. I believe it was on the clip that I played earlier. She said that she has this concern for safety, essentially. So her claim is that Trump calling her a traitor puts her life in danger by radical, right-wing, far-right MAGA people who are going to essentially obey Trump's beck and call. And they see that Marjorie Taylor Greene is no longer on their side, and then they're going to try to kill her, or they're going to try to hurt her or do something like that. I'm guessing that's kind of the general idea. She's claiming his words are going to radicalize people against her. So I love this because this is hilarious. All of a sudden, she's concerned about toxic politics, quote unquote, as soon as it affects her. So Dana Bash actually, I'm not a fan of Dana Bash, the CNN host, but she did actually call Marjorie out on this. And she was like, yeah, and you saw this in the clip earlier, we've seen these attacks from Trump before at other people, and I haven't heard you speak about it until it was directed at you. And there's a correct response to that. And the correct response is technically the one that Marjorie gave. Marjorie said, I think that's fair criticism. It is fair criticism. It's very fair criticism. It's a serious problem because it's making her look like a hypocrite in front of everybody. But then she went on to say that she humbly apologized for taking part in the toxic politics. No, that is not where that needed to go. That is not where that needed to go. That needed to go a totally different direction. She should have said, yes, I think that's a fair criticism. And now I apologize for being a hypocrite, literally just being a hypocrite with this. Here's why I did what I did. Here's why I'm going to fix it in the future. That would have been a legitimate response. What she did was not a legitimate response. She turned it around and just gave everything up and surrendered it all and said she humbly apologized for taking part in toxic politics. So instead of sticking with her own side, she knuckled under to Dana Bash and she just like melted on live TV. And it's like, it's crazy because if you understand who this woman is, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been one of the stiffest, most stubborn, conservative Republican voices calling for sanity in Congress for a very long time. And for some time, the Republican Party had kind of put her forward as more or less the face of the hard Republicans in Congress, like the ones that were not going to budge an inch. So I'm looking at this and I still can't believe my eyes. I'm like, Marjorie Taylor Greene did not just say that. But Marjorie Taylor Greene said it. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So when Trump went after other Republicans, critics, or anyone who disagreed with him, that was totally fine with her. She was cheering it on. But now that it's directed to her, we suddenly need to worry about civility and safety. This is exposing her own just total hypocrisy. Now, to be clear, I don't actually believe the accusation leveled was quite a fair one. Dana Bash said that Trump is continually doing this to his political enemies and stuff. That's not true. And if anyone is doing this, it's the Democrats. Okay, there is no one who is treated worse online and in speeches and things that the left does than Donald Trump. He is literally Satan incarnate in their view. So the idea that Trump is somehow at fault for tons of like violent remarks he's made about the Democrats or something like that, I don't really get what she's talking about. I'd love for her to like give like actual examples of this, because I've never seen one. He says stuff all the time. He calls people names. But let's talk about what the Democrats do, because they do 100 times worse. And then their rhetoric is like, this is a life and death struggle. And if we don't take over the country now, if we don't take it back, we're all going to be living under Hitler before long, which is why people like Thomas Matthew Crooks or Tyler Robinson then go and try to assassinate political figures like Donald Trump or Charlie Kirk. And just like we saw a few months ago on September 10th, it worked. Someone was radicalized by the leftist rhetoric, by the Democrats' rhetoric, and they killed someone else. Assassinated a political figure in broad daylight on a college campus with thousands of people watching, who was just sitting there peacefully, just trying to dialogue with anyone who wanted to come up and talk with him, and trying to promote the free market of ideas in America. That's what the leftist rhetoric does. But Dana Bash is concerned about what Trump's mean name-calling might do. So there's more than one hypocrite in that video. And I'll leave it there. Now, here's a little bit more insight into the real reason Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing all of this. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for the Senate in Georgia. Trump said no. He told her she'd lose by 20 points and he would back a candidate against her because she's doing all this stuff, okay, and she's causing serious problems for him. It's obviously the logical thing for him to do. So she got mad, and now we're here. This isn't about like principles or Epstein files or foreign policy or anything else she says is about. This is about power. This is about a wounded ego, period. Now, this is where it gets really telling, and this is where I'm kind of getting proved right. Watch who is suddenly like Marjorie Taylor Greene's biggest fan club, okay? CNN, MSNBC, The View. The View invited her on, and they love her all of a sudden. All the mainstream media that spent years calling her dangerous. The reason for this is solely because she turned against Trump. Again, this just goes to show, in case anyone was wondering, these leftists, these radical leftists in Washington, D.C., they have one principle. They have no backbone, and they have one principle, and it is the only reason they exist, and it can be summed up in 3 words: orange man bad. That's literally it. If you're for Trump, you're bad. If you're against him, you're good. Doesn't matter what Trump does. If Trump turned around right now and started endorsing LGBTQ people and took off all of his tariffs and became isolationist and turned the U.S. into a communist country, they would still hate him. They'd all of a sudden be conservatives. Okay, so orange man bad. That is their entire life philosophy. That's literally it. So as soon as Marjorie Taylor Greene turns against him, it doesn't matter that Marjorie Taylor Greene stands for all this stuff that they're supposedly ideologically against. She's all of a sudden against Trump. And of course, in their worldview, that makes her amazing. And they'll take it. And they invite her on CNN and MSNBC and The View and all these other super, super liberal media news sites. She is their hot new thing because she attacks Trump full time now, and she is a Republican who is no longer enamored with the current administration. Here's my thoughts on this. If the people who hate everything you stand for start cheering for you, bro, you have lost the plot. Okay, this should be the most obvious thing on the face of the planet. That's your red flag. The same outlets that called her a conspiracy theorist, that called her dangerous, that called her radical, an extremist, and a threat to democracy, all of a sudden have strange new respect for her. Come on. They don't actually like her. They just like that she is attacking Donald Trump. The second she stops being useful for that, are going to drop her like a hot potato. It's going to happen so fast, it's crazy. Okay, we see it with Democrats like John Fetterman, who are radical Democrats, and they believe in a lot of radical Democrat policies, but they're also not afraid to side with Republicans when there's something good. The reason for that is that John Fetterman and others like him, like RFK Jr., are ideological people. They actually stand for things, and they have backbones. And so if they see the Republicans doing something good, they're like, yeah, I'll go with the Republicans because I agree with them on this. And then I'll disagree with them on everything else. And I'll go with the Democrats when I agree with them on this, and I'll go against them when I don't agree with them on that. And by the way, this is the mark of someone who is an honest person with a backbone. Their views are always more nuanced. Stuff is not black and white. Stuff is not Republican good, Democrat bad, or Democrat good, Republican bad. It's why my view is not Republican good, Democrat bad. You have heard me many times. If you followed this show, I'm only 15 episodes in. You have heard me criticize the Trump administration, the Republicans in Congress, Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene, many, many times. And I will continue to do so. I will continue to call out the facts as I see them, and that's because I have a higher ideological standard that I hold to, which is the standard of truth. And because I'm a Christian, I see that Christ wants me to say the truth. And then I look at the facts and say, okay, here's the truth. I have a platform to say it on, so I'm going to say it. And this is because I'm an ideologue. I have ideological views, and I have a backbone. They don't have a backbone. Their ideological view is Orange Man bad. The only problem is that doesn't work because if you want to hold an ideological view, you need to have an existential standard to hold everything by and compare everything to. I have that existential standard. I have Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Not, no one else. No one else seems to have that existential standard on the other side of the aisle. I'm with the Republicans. Obviously, I'm pre-registered to vote. I'm not registered to vote yet. I'm pre-registered to vote. So I'm a pre-registered Republican, and I'm with the Republicans because I believe they do a much better job of running the country than the Democrats at the moment. But let me tell you this, if the Democrats tomorrow were the party that believed in God, that opposed abortion, that opposed LGBTQ nonsense, that opposed opening our borders and just letting anyone crazy in, and that just let people alone, let the free market operate, I would be a Democrat so fast you would not believe it. I'd switch like that. I'd be wearing Kamala Harris hats. I'd be cheering for Joe Biden. I would recolor my podcast cover blue. If that's what it took, I would be a Democrat tomorrow. I have a higher ideological standard. The Republicans align with that more, but I'm also willing to criticize the Republicans when they don't align with that higher ideological standard. And so that's kind of a little bit of a breakdown of what's going on. Ben Shapiro put it really well. He said that Marjorie Taylor Greene, is essentially retailing a knockoff version of MAGA to the legacy media. And that's exactly what she is. She's trying to sell herself as the real MAGA, just like people like Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, Steve Bannon. They're trying to do this. It's a power play. They're trying to bridge the gap between leftists and conservatives and MAGA people and non-MAGA people. The problem is that bridge was burned a long time ago. There is no way to bridge that gap now. You're getting stretched wider and wider trying to hold the two apart, and eventually you are not going to be able to do it. It's the gap is literally just too wide. They hate America. We love America. We're ready to die for America. They're ready to die against America. And they prove it when they kill people like Charlie Kirk. So, again, I will reiterate, the gap is just too big. You can't hold together, but that's what they're trying to do. On the grocery price thing, which is really, really big, this is what she's really trying. This is a big, foundational part of her new gospel that she's preaching, essentially. How Trump is harming all these grocery prices. Look, Americans are struggling with costs, yes. But I want to point out, her solution is to do media tours complaining about it. That's her big plan. Where is the policy work? Like, I'm not joking, and I'll criticize a lot of Republicans on this, and I'll criticize like every Democrat in the face of the planet about this. Where is the actual policy work? This is what drives me crazy. Like, if you ever watch a congressional hearing, there's always going to be several Congress people on the hearing, on the board, on the, I don't know what you call it, on the panel. Probably it's on the panel, who literally are not there. And this is, of course, is what a hearing is. A hearing is just a show. It's a virtue signaling to your constituents, because it's the only place where they see you actually like doing work. And so you have to pretend to do work and actually do what they put you in office for. That's all a public hearing actually is. But nevertheless, it still has the illusion of being legitimate, and they're there to like ask questions of whoever's testifying and all those sorts of things. But it will never cease to amaze me watching these hearings, getting a few Congress people who will literally just talk. They have 5 minutes to ask the person questions. They'll talk for 4.5 minutes. They'll ask them one question at the end, is a lame question that means nothing. It literally answers nothing. And that's their entire time to do anything on the hearing. It's showboating. It's literally just showboating. It's demonstrating to your constituents that you're doing what they put you there for, even though you're actually not doing it. This is exactly what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing. She could be in the House of Representatives pushing forward legislation to make grocery prices cheaper and to deregulate the food process and stop the USDA from having so many regulations on food prices and just making things go down and allowing the free market to function. Or she could be helping restrict Trump from this. If this is what she really believes, this is what she could be doing. She could be in the House of Representatives right now on Capitol Hill fighting for that, but she's not. She's doing a media tour. So again, this proves this is showboating. This is not, she doesn't actually care about grocery prices. If she cared about grocery prices, she would be doing something about it. Now, let me bring this all home, because this is bigger than just political drama. Trump actually built a massive coalition. Okay, politics is all about coalition building. Politics is all about people. And if you can get a bunch of different types of people to come together and seize power together and agree on a lot of things, even though they have different viewpoints, they can agree on one central thing, which has always been the idea of America. A ton of different people with different viewpoints uniting around a common cause, which is a love for freedom and liberty and justice and God and loving this country. As long as you have that, you can succeed you can succeed at politics. It's all about coalition building. It's all about bringing tons of people together with different viewpoints. Trump did that. He got a ton of different ideological groups who normally can't stand each other to work together. That's hard. That's leadership. Again, I said in the beginning of this episode, Marjorie Taylor Greene would never be able to do that. Here's the proof right here. She is busy fracturing MAGA, dividing MAGA, and creating chaos in it. And ultimately, she's helping the other side. She's helping Democrats. She is proving right now she does not have what it takes to be successful like Trump was successful in building this massive coalition of people united around the common cause to save America. Okay? Even Lauren Boebert called her out for challenging common sense things. When your fellow firebrands are fed up with you, I'm sorry, that just says something. And by the way, Lauren Boebert is a fellow representative in the House of Representatives, if you don't know who that is. So, final thoughts. Again, I'm all for disagreements. Trump is not some infallible God emperor. You can push back on his policies. You can have debates. That's literally how we get better. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is not doing that because this is showboating and this is a power play. She's building herself up as Trump's replacement. She's positioning herself as the true voice of MAGA. She is burning bridges on both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans. She's trying to restore bigger bridges that burned a long time ago and are not going to go back up anytime soon. She is cozying up to media that hates us and is actively spewing lies about the Republicans, and she is playing a victim when she gets called out. Trump was right. Trump was 100% right. She wouldn't be known without him building her up. That's just facts. Her entire brand was Trump's biggest defender in Congress. And now she wants to be the one defining what America first means. Based on what credentials exactly? Here's the bottom line. We don't need another person with a persecution complex and a Twitter addiction thinking they're the savior of conservatism and of the MAGA movement. We need serious people doing serious work. That's what Trump is doing. He's a serious person doing serious work. Again, I don't agree with everything he's doing, but he's doing a ton of good. Marjorie Taylor Greene had her chance to be a real force in Congress. Instead, she has chosen ego over effectiveness and fighting for her constituents, and conservative media is very right to call her out on it. That's my take. That's where I stand. I think this is going to be a career-ending move for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think she's going to recover from this one. She had a choice. She could work within the MAGA movement to advance conservative principles, and once she got high up enough, she could eventually push her specific policies. Where she doesn't like Israel, and she thinks there's Jewish space lasers that are starting the California wildfires. As a Californian, I can confirm that that's not happening, and that is a real thing she said once in Congress. Or she can go rogue for attention and personal ambition. She chose poorly because she chose the latter. The conservative media establishment is 100% right to call it out. Trump 2.0 is about getting things done. It's not about catering to grandstanding from members of Congress who think they're bigger than Trump himself and the rest of the movement. Greene is going to learn that lesson the hard way. Thank you so much for listening, folks. We'll see you again next time. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps us so much. If you want to get emails every time I release a new episode, which I do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and shorts every day on YouTube, you can go to thecarsonwagnershow.substack.com, enter your email, and sign up, and you'll get emails every single time I release a new episode. Alternatively, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, literally anything else, you can put them in the comments down here below this video on YouTube or Spotify, or you can email me at thecarsonwagnershow@gmail.com. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for listening. Please share this episode if you feel like sharing, if you feel like you know anyone who might benefit from it, and I'll see you next week.